Hello again. Welcome to another edition of Wellnessway USA podcast. Today we're going to do our radio cast. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay, I have Martha Odom, my mother, also the owner of Wellnessway USA, and I have Lori Newcomer, our integrative coach. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to cover what's called dopamine fasting today. If you don't know what that is, we will enlighten you today. However, I want to start with an article that I found that I thought we could bring up in our conversation today. Seclusion and isolation rooms misused in Illinois schools. Have you guys heard about this?
No.
Okay, so I'll just read it if you don't mind.
Where'd you find this?
I found this one on Chicago Tribune.
Okay.
Dated November 19th, 2019.
So it's like right now.
Yep. By Jennifer Smith Richards and Jody S. Cohan and Lakedra Chavis. Took a lot to write that one.
Okay.
The spaces have general names: the reflection room, the cool down room, the calming room, the quiet room. But shut inside them in public schools across the state, children as young as 5 wail for their parents, scream in anger, and beg to be let out. Students, most of them with disabilities, scratch the windows or tear at padded walls. They throw their bodies against locked doors. Other bodily fluids. Some children spend hours inside these rooms, missing class time. Through it all, the adults stay outside, writing down what happens. It's in Illinois. It's legal for school employees to seclude students in a separate room, to put them in isolated timeout if the students pose a safety threat to themselves or others. So I think you kind of get the gist here.
Right.
What do you think?
So it's behavioral therapy.
Call it what you will, right?
Well, back in my day, they would have paddled the little babies. But
yeah.
I mean, I think you got your share. And, they'd call them licks, I think.
Yeah. I guess what you want to do is what benefits the children, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can all agree that we're not experts in educating children in a school. We don't have that expertise.
No.
We have parenting expertise. We have expertise of our loved ones. We have expertise of our friends. And some of our friends are educators. So maybe what we might do is just to shelf this, for an extended period until we could get one of our educators that we know maybe to come on the show with us.
I'm glad that you brought it up because it's very current. It just happened.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, some people are having an issue with it. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I ran a day camp for 12 years. And I can tell you when a child is stressed and they are hurting others, you do need to seclude them somewhere to keep the others safe.
Stop it from
because
happening.
They'll spit and throw. We had somebody throw poop. I mean, it was, they'll do things like that.
Right.
All right, Judd.
It's really bizarre that light keeps cutting out.
That no one else can see.
Mm-hmm.
On the radio.
Well, we're recording also on this camera.
Almost. But no, there still has to be, like, I don't know. All I could think of is if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Because there's no reason. I don't see a reason for you to lock a kid in a room. I mean, if it's that bad, then call their parents.
Well, but until the parents get there, they need to have.
But they're talking about hours. Oh. I wonder what they did, and then special needs. That makes me think that maybe it was an easier way to handle them that day.
Something sounds a little off to me.
Yes, I agree with that.
I know that me particularly, having been punished probably every way in school you could be punished.
He's a little bit rowdy.
I was never actually locked in a room, and I don't know. I know how I would handle that now, but I don't know how I would have handled it then. Probably similar. I can't.
I will tell you, I put you in your room when you were 2. Mm-hmm. You raised your window. You you took the screen off of the window,
Mhm.
and I found you a block and a half away.
So
Yeah,
we know
I
how
don't
we
do
have an
well
idea. How
being
you handle it.
confined.
Mhm.
Are you going to be cremated?
Yes,
Okay.
because I don't actually. I've talked with Amy about that, and maybe talked with Mom about it too. But that's one of my big fears. I mean, if I go down, I'm gonna make sure I'm out.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I wonder if I mean, obviously there is more to the story, but I wish I knew what it was. Do you know what all states did it say? States that
okay.
is legal?
Let me dig into it, see if I can find it again real quick.
Because, I mean, all the kids that you've been around, I mean,
Well,
have y'all ever had to do that?
The nanny back when she was on television, she would put them in timeout.
Timeout, that's one thing.
Children were sent to isolation for refusing to do classwork, swearing, the old spilt milk,
Well, that might make some child swear.
Throwing Legos.
I would probably
I think
make up some colorful.
throwing Legos could be something dangerous, so, but that's in there. From kindergarten to third grade, there's Isaiah Knight was regularly placed in the school's timeout room where he often banged his head on the walls made of plywood or concrete.
See, I think they're actually causing him to have
There's
more issues later.
Multiple children that have stories about it. So to me,
that's like child abuse.
Seems like it would be it's somehow damaging to them.
Well,
I agree.
Why would they, like, a child would be like, whatever?
Well, if it's mini
it didn't hurt them,
schools.
but if it does, they're going to talk about it.
If it's many schools, it's obviously part of the curriculum that has been taught.
I will not be moving
teachers.
to Illinois as a mother, or I'll end up in jail. Am I allowed to say that?
State officials are unaware of these repeated violations. I guess they are violations because they do not monitor schools' use of the practice.
Ah, okay.
So I guess it's coming to light, maybe.
Well, it's time to shine the light.
Yeah,
Tim, you've got to give us a rundown of these before we go on air, because
I
you really
think that's
caught me off guard.
That's part of it. I want to get a natural reaction. So, I mean, I could have done
that's the reaction you're getting
several
from me.
different ones, but that was a good one.
That's a good one.
I made the joke about sending Macy to her room last night and locking her in there, and I wouldn't feel guilty, and I was totally kidding because I said it, and everyone's like, yeah, haha. Just last night, because I've never done that, and I couldn't imagine.
Well, I stopped doing it when he was 2.
When you found him a block and a half down the street.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. I would have got out. Yeah, some way. So you guys ready to move into dopamine?
Yes.
Dopamine fasting.
Who wants to explain exactly what a dopamine is?
Okay, dopamine.
Well, let's let our resident integrative medicine specialist explain it to us.
Oh, well, your mom has a good explanation, of dopamine, and then I can give you my intake on dopamine fasting.
Well, I just looked up what dopamine was.
All right, go for it. Give us the textbook.
And it says dopamine is a type of neurotransmitter. Your body makes it, and your nervous system uses it to send messages between nerve cells. And that's why it's called the chemical messenger, and it plays a role in how we feel pleasure. It's a big part of our unique human ability to think and plan. It helps us to strive, focus, and find things interesting. And that's from WebMD. When you know it's got to be right if it's from WebMD.
Most of the time they're fairly correct.
Yeah, and it's made through a 2-step process, and it's about amino acids are changed into a substance called dopa, and then into dopamine.
Yeah, and you have receptors like you do with the cannabinoid system,
right? And they thought in the mental health field, they thought that certain hallucinations and delusions was a lack of dopamine, and of course, I've always battled for attention deficit, and no one knows for sure what causes attention deficit, but some research shows that it may be due to a shortage of dopamine, which is what I have been told all of my life.
So maybe
I've been in search of dopamine. And I will tell you, I
So
have
you don't
always
feel good unless you're excited. is
well,
what you're
I
saying.
have always told
No, I mean-
people that the best time of my life was when I was nursing a baby, because that just throws all the dopamine everywhere. And it, that's the reason I really like it. But it's the pleasure reward seeking behavior.
So I would assume that many normal people experience dopamine normally, and it's
Dude.
regulated well through your body through, I guess, homeostasis. And so that would mean that as certain body chemicals raise or lower, that the rest raises and lowers, so you kind of even out.
Well, like amphetamines makes it more, and cocaine blocks it. Cocaine is a dopamine blocker.
Yeah, and as far as I don't think I've done nearly enough research on the subject of this dopamine. I've studied a lot of cannabis, receptors and things like that, but not necessarily dopamine. So I would assume that most people could understand dopamine as that elated feeling that you get.
A stimulant or a reward.
Yeah, just a little bit above normal, maybe, or growing above a normal feeling. Now, at rest, when you don't believe you have dopamine, how do you feel? Do you feel good or bad?
Well, they say even at rest, whenever your mind is in neutral, you're still giving yourself dopamine, rewarding yourself,
okay,
like
so,
watching TV,
okay, so
music.
Good. Here was one of the questions I had was, what if your normal level's too low and then your excited level is too high?
That would fall into the attention deficit category.
So I believe that I have that to a certain extent. Although I've never been formally diagnosed with it, I'm probably glad I wasn't.
Mama's gonna tell you, honey, you got it.
And then we would assume that you have it
I
as well.
have it. I have diagnosed.
So maybe people that have ADD may have a dopamine problem. And this is just speculation. This is just us talking about it. We're not trying to diagnose anybody.
Yeah. Well, dopamine, they say, and getting on to the fasting part, I mean, you get it from foods also, from salty foods to sweet foods.
Yeah, that ice cream sure does make you feel good.
Ooh, yeah. Well, one of the things, let's go to one of the things that is a problem with the dopamine and or the hyperactivity. It's now, how you feel if you misplace your telephone, just can't find it.
I feel panicked.
And yeah, you have that experience
Really?
of a mild state of panic. And it's been found that 73% of the people claim to experience this unique flavor of anxiety, which makes sense when you consider that the adults in the United States spend an average of 2 to 4 hours a day tapping, typing, or swiping their phone, and it adds up to 2,500 touches to that phone a day.
Yeah.
I mean, we have become
but they also say doing that and putting your brain in neutral is causing that ADHD and causing being impatient and that short fuse that people are having.
I think we're fortunate in the fact that we have a unique perspective. Most of us, when we grew up,
didn't have
all that,
right?
Even
a Nintendo.
It started with the old Ataris and Commodores, but we didn't have to have that stuff.
Well, and there's nothing inherently addictive about a cell phone.
Yeah.
It's the attention, it's the interaction.
It's the hypersocial environment that it puts us in.
Yeah.
Well,
because we still want that human contact.
Yes.
And it's a way for us people that don't like other people to get it.
Well, I think we just don't like mean people. We don't like people that most people would say they don't like someone, I believe, if they don't understand them.
That's true.
Right?
Because
you figure the person that's unliked or maybe not popular in their own mind, they probably have a different reality than other people.
Yeah.
It can't be the same, or else they would understand that they were acting differently and that the whole group was kind of seeing that.
My dad used to say, if you look for similarities, you might make a friend. I mean, everybody has something in common, or you can find something you like about someone, just as you can find things that you don't like about someone as well.
Well, although it's not as intense as a hit of cocaine, the positive social stimuli from it gives a release of dopamine, and whatever behavior preceded it.
Are you talking about the telephone?
Yeah.
Mostly, I use my phone for an escape. Like whenever I'm just having like a mental overload, there's this one game I just want to play, and just like 5 minutes, and then I'm good.
I'm a Candy Crush.
Well, I will say,
for me to have that escape, I actually have to have a form of isolation. Like nothing,
like meditation.
So maybe it's a personal personality type that needs.
I don't think it's as simple as
because I've heard this dopamine fasting has started like in Silicon Valley.
All right, here, let's dig into some of the articles.
Okay.
What is dopamine fasting? October 11th, 2019, Gabriel Power. I'm going to skip to the highlighted part of this article I have. This is explaining a how-to video that has more than 1.6 million views. And what it's saying is that some people are taking the practice of dopamine fasting, and in a case we didn't go over it, dopamine fasting is
doing the opposite of what you normally do.
Well,
each day.
Well, what if you normally just lay on a bed?
Okay. Well, spend the entire day doing the opposite of what you normally do, what that is. And any stimulants, like rich in foods and sweets, your phone, computer, television, music, podcasts, except this one, video games, caffeine, alcohol, marijuana was on there, sex.
So,
whoa.
This article says people are cutting out
that?
all normal human activity for periods of 24 hours or longer.
So how longer?
I mean, I guess it's up to the person, the individual.
Well, they say a standard dopamine fast to kind of recharge your imagination and creativity is about 24 hours. And
so you only do it 24 hours. Okay.
They say that in this same article, the functions of the dopamine neurons in the VTA, I'll just skip past what that might be, is not well understood by scientists. It is thought to play a key role in understanding reward and the feelings of pleasure derived from it. So it is not well understood by scientists.
Well, I mean,
VTA dopamine neurons become activated when something good happens,
right,
unexpectedly, which I'm not really sure I agree with, such as the sudden availability of food, says Psychology Today.
Ooh,
most abuse drugs cause the release of dopamine, and this is thought to contribute to their addictive properties.
Well, I mean, are you not just happy as a lark when somebody brings in an ice cream sandwich?
No.
Ooh.
It would depend on where I'm at. If I'm fasting, if I'm not eating sugar.
If I'm craving sugar, that would be about the only time.
Yeah.
But what do you mean by that last line? You said something.
I didn't mean anything. I just read it.
Well, I wonder what it meant.
Most abuse drugs cause the release of dopamine.
That it for addictive properties? Are you saying that
this is thought
being
to
contribute
to their addictive property? That's kind of like the reward thing. Like,
so if you're addicted to reward kind of thing or dopamine?
Yeah.
There's
I will
if it makes you feel better, you want to do it more often, which
Okay.
I've said before,
right?
Like about different things.
Well, I mean, that sounds just like a good life. As long as it, like in our house, I want happy and music and stuff like that. So if someone comes in a bad mood or a bad day, it's like, well, let's talk it out and leave it outside and try to change it. And sometimes they don't want to, or
they say the activities to cut out would be pleasure eating, internet apps, shopping, gambling, and looking at the old XXX.
Well, I might just stay in the bed
that was
that
on
day,
mine, but I didn't share that. I wasn't sure.
I can relate to all but one. But anyway, I'm saying to you that, I mean, why would I get out of bed in the morning if I didn't have those pleasure zones coming in?
Well, they're trying to say if you, because also whenever you're invested in that, you're kind of, your brain's in neutral and shut down. So that's whenever that part's not working. And to boost your productivity and your creativity, to exercise something like meditation or prayer. And essentially it's called brain training. And that would be that method.
Train your brain.
The exact methods that great innovators used, poets, artists, athletes, I mean, Da Vinci, William Shakespeare, none of them, they didn't have all the computers and the stuff that we do now. And
well, now when you said training, now I'm a coach, and I will say that back in the Bear Bryant years, and we were studying about coaching, they would isolate their players and no girlfriends, keep them away from anything for 3 days. I mean,
was it for dopamine?
Yeah, I don't know what it was for back then, but I'm saying, they were all fed the same thing. They were all
plain foods. So that's part of the dopamine fasting, and because they say your imagination must be trained. Your imagination is just like a muscle. If you don't train it, you'll lose it.
My imagination can't be trained.
Whoa, that's a good jabber.
Okay.
Yeah.
Imagination, it's funny how they try and tie so many things to it. But after all, it simply is a feeling that we get.
Yes, because
I think if you try and tie too many things to it, that it kind of takes away from it. Like you can't think like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because whenever you first brought this up, I was like, I don't see the rewards to that and blah, blah, blah. So Matt and I discussed kind of like a debate, and I was for it, and he was against it, to kind of see, and it totally changed my views. And I now I guess I'm more for the occasional dopamine fast, and apparently I implement it already in our life, because if we go to Vortex Springs or on the weekends, the kids, can't have their phones on Sundays. In the mornings, we walk my first grader to school, and I have my ninth grader. I don't let him bring his phone. Like, I will stop him when we leave the house. I'm like, go put your phone up on the bar till we get back. And he's like, why? I just want to listen to music. And I'm like, but I want to talk to you. So I guess we already
don't provide as much dopamine as the phone, I see.
Well, every time he leaves with a smile, probably because he's getting his phone back, but still.
He's smart enough to take the dopamine hit.
Oh, so good. Look at you. Now, I will say, watching TV and mysteries and things like that, I'm always trying to figure out what's going to happen before it does. So I'm going to say I'm probably more quick-witted from those shows and, on the edge of my seat instead of just kind of shutting down my brain.
Okay, so everything that I have been told is like to eat more protein and to read and to do all the stuff every day creates dopamine. So
correct.
You're telling me that I need to, but according to the people at Silicon Valley, yes. I should cut
all the people in Silicon Valley have voted.
Yes, they voted, and they have decided that a fast is what I should do. So, I just don't know if y'all could handle me if I went a whole day.
Headline grabbing news
Can
companies.
you do that on Sunday? So, because yeah,
y'all wouldn't say. I don't know how to do it.
Okay, what would you guys like to hear? An article by Jeff Hayden that says, here's what happened when I spent the 24 semi-miserable hours trying to do the Silicon Valley fast.
Okay, yes, that's what I'm interested in. Yes, that's what I'm interested in.
One of the unique things, I do have a point here at the end, I think. One of the unique things about dopamine fasting is yet we aren't really clear on a definition. So they provided a definition in this article. Dopamine fasting involves not doing anything purely for the sake of stimulation. That's the definition by this article written by Jeff Hayden.
That just sounds depressing.
At let's see where he's
so
at.
They want you to go back
Inc.com.
to caveman time and just have a hibernation day.
They're telling me to go back to my first husband.
Who are they?
Yeah.
Oh, you read an article that said that?
No, that's what you're telling me to do something that's
here's another quote
not
from this.
stimulating at all.
Working out isn't fun, but accomplishing more is gratifying.
Okay, I'm for that. I don't necessarily enjoy working out, but I've never worked out and then afterwards say, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I mean, I enjoy the reward afterwards and the, endorphins and
Well, I think
dopamine.
anytime you achieve a challenge that you're going to have that good feeling about you, you're going to puff up a little bit.
They say that fuel foods, which are foods that only fuel your body yet do not provide you any increased dopamine, is what he tried to do. No electronics, no music, no radio, no podcast except this one, no reading, no sex, no taste food, which I would mean like, I'm assuming like ice cream or chocolate.
Or tasty. Was it like a little typo there? Did you run out of ink?
He said, I went with the tasteless trifecta: tuna out of the can, lettuce, and brown rice. So obviously taste would be like we thought.
See, that's
no fun talking. Stop the no fun talking.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
You'd have to stay
So
away from me.
No
he's caffeine or
to
other.
monk.
So every
Or
single
alcohol,
person is going to have to be in bed.
He's got a monk. He's a monk. I mean, monk for a day. That's what it is.
Look,
monk for a day.
What I found is
I haven't met a monk yet, so I don't know.
the less defined something is, the more opinions about it there are.
True.
So I think that's what we're witnessing here
Mm-hmm.
as we go through these countless articles on something we've never heard of.
Yeah, because see, I would disagree on the food because I love to know that I went a whole day and I literally only put food in my body to fuel it. And
That's the reason there are only a few of you in this world.
So
that feels
in this
good.
article, where this person went eventually was, he kind of explains his day a little bit. He says, so I took a walk. I stared out of a window until I realized I was watching dolphins. So I stared out of a different window because I enjoy watching dolphins. I took some notes for a project I'm working on. I got bored, took another walk, got bored, went to the gym. So I did one of my standard workouts, ate, took another walk. Almost did housework, but realized I enjoy it. How well it looks when I get finished. So I just went back to staring out the window.
Sounds like a wasted day.
Yeah.
Other than eating well and the workout.
Do you think maybe
Walking.
this managing this process might have the reverse effect? Like you're actually going to drag yourself down?
I think maybe if you make your own list and your own outlaws ahead of time and stick with that, and go that way. Because I can't say everybody caffeine, because some people will get the headaches and then there's no point in just feeling sick. But maybe do the opposite. Like, I don't like working out.
So you agree with us?
To a degree. I feel that you should make your own thing. Like the cleaning the house. That's why I think you should do your dopamine fast.
You feel
Put down electronics so you would be more productive.
Dopamine's a problem for you?
I like dopamine.
So would you participate in this activity?
Well, my question is, does it increase the next day when you start your dopamine back? Is it supposed to give you a power of dopamine?
I don't know.
Well, I can say for sure when I quit drinking alcohol, I think I went for about 2 years that I had some serious dopamine level problems.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't feel good at all. You didn't feel happy. Your joints hurt. You really couldn't experience much joy. But you knew it was just part of your body kind of rebalancing. Rafter that, things went back to normal.
So it took 2 years to rebalance.
About 2 years, yeah.
So that's the reason there are so many people that rebound back, I guess, from that.
Yeah,
so,
because you feel great when you're drinking until the next day, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I didn't drink that much, but I drank often.
See, I don't like to drink at all.
Yeah.
I don't like to be told I'm not going to drink. That's why Dr. Corvino and that detox diet and liver, I'm like, oh no, but can I drink?
Well, if I can tell you,
preference.
As a mother, I was a good example, did not ever, ever, ever drink until my children were gone.
I tell you, I do the same thing. Wine glasses. We have wine and champagne glasses that will they're plastic, put grape juice or Sprite in. And people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, we're just toasting, it's just fun because I'm like, it helps me just mentally to have that pretty thin glass, crystal to sip out of, even though it's just grape juice.
This is from Herbworks blog. There's no particular author here, but it says Brian, but usually that's just who they tagged with it. This article says your brain requires the amino acid L-tyrosine to make dopamine that only comes from protein or taking L-tyrosine directly.
Isn't
you guys getting enough L-tyrosine in your diet?
Isn't that,
did you check that out?
What Robert said, some of those antidepressants stop putting in there?
I don't know. He's so smart.
How do you spell that, Jeb? I'm going to look it up.
Can we phone a friend? No.
Can we phone
yes.
You have to set it up next time so we can.
So what they're saying is, if I understand this correctly, that the old L-tyrosine, if you don't get it, you might not have enough dopamine. Is that, you guys kind of feel the same way?
I don't have, I know I don't have enough, but
you and
something
old L-tyrosine, tyrosine amino
tyrosine.
acid do not always jive.
Mm-hmm. But I'm willing to give it a shot, and then we can come back and tell them what happened.
Again, we have another person buying into this.
I'm not buying into it. I just thought I might be a guinea pig. But if I don't come into work for a couple of days, you can know what happened.
Get me too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start now.
I would have to. I would have to go to the casino.
I'm gonna start whenever it warms up.
Yeah, I'd have to go to the casino and recover.
Yeah, you'll find me paddleboarding at the beach.
We got another article from Vox. Dopamine fasting is Silicon Valley's hot new trend. Is it backed by science? Seagull Samuel on November 13, 2019 dives into this. And he says Cameron Cefa, a clinical professor of psychiatry at UC San Francisco, popularized dopamine fasting in August when he published a guide to the practice on LinkedIn. Taking a break from behaviors that trigger strong amounts of dopamine release allows our brain to recover and restore itself, he wrote. Cefa suggests that without such breaks, we become habituated to high levels of the chemical, so we feel the need to seek out ever higher doses of stimulation to achieve the same pleasurable effect. So, what do you think about that?
Well, does he say it causes a reboot where we go back to lower levels, fulfill your body's needs?
I think it's filling his pockets. It's probably the most accurate thing. He's gotten a number of clients, many of them Silicon Valley executives, to adopt dopamine fasting, which he says based on cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, an evidence-based treatment approach that helps people change unhelpful ways of thinking that influence their behavior. CBT is often used to treat addictions. So, you know what I believe? I believe this is a person's approach to treating people with psychological issues, and that they're trying to blanket this for everyone.
Well,
and I also think he's trying to make a lot of money off this.
Yeah, apparently you can buy tyrosine, and it's like take it orally or like in a lotion.
It's just an amino acid.
Yes, it's a type of it, but you can buy it. It looks like nausea, headache, fatigue, and heartburn are some of the side effects.
Judson Brewer, in the same article, a neuroscientist and a psychiatrist at Brown University who specializes in addiction, told me you can't stop anticipating something. If you see chocolate, your brain thinks, oh, that looks good. You can't tell your brain, hey, don't do that.
Yeah, you can.
This guy, maybe you guys need to battle it out, because this is what this man says.
From dieting for so long, the show diet. What?
Yeah.
What do you have to say?
I'm saying, if I put a Krispy Kreme donut in front of
Something's
you,
going to happen inside of you.
yes.
But if you break that cycle, if you can say no 10,000 times, then you're not going to do it, or for 3 months or whatever the duration of your timeline is, just like the methods that you're trying with Dr. Corvino,
Right.
and the changes you're doing, where you're thinking about your
Where it
eating
becomes
before you
habit.
eat. Yes, because because of doing that show diet for so long, there's still so many things that I can't eat, or because I don't want to, because mentally, it's all mental.
Is it mindfulness?
I enjoy it. It is. It's absolutely mindfulness.
That's what the brewer says. It's mindfulness training.
And or if I do eat it or drink it or try it, it's because I know I'm going against what I think is right or what I want.
I think I'll bring in a dozen of the Krispy Kreme donuts.
And I'll totally eat 6. I'm not on a show diet, but no. But there's so many things, but I feel better if I eat healthier, and I prefer to eat healthier.
Well, that's because you're gorgeous and you want to stay gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. But it makes me feel good. So and actually gives me dopamine.
All right, you want to hear Cepho, the guy that's making the money off these execs, you want to hear his prescription?
Okay.
1 to 4 hours at the end of the day, depending on work and family demands. 1 weekend a day, 1 weekend per quarter, 1 week per year. This is when you do your fast.
Well, now, does that go into the same thing like I'm doing that food fast for 18 hours a day? Does that work the same thing?
I don't think that qualifies. I think it has to be further.
Just, you know what it seems like to me? It's just like, hey, take a break. You know?
I think just anytime you break a habit, because even now, if say this 18-hour fast becomes habit for you.
It has.
See, then later it would be trying it, a different time of day or something. I don't know. It's just all breaking it up, but also just getting new habits. Because now, do you go to that night snack that you were used to?
No.
See, so you broke that. So you can put that in front of you, and you now can make that choice. Is that worth it or is it not? Do you see? So you already trained yourself in that. So that would be like in me, because I used to love those ham, egg, and cheese croissants from Burger King. But now, if you gave me that right in front of me on a silver platter, or my steel oats with fresh strawberries, no sugar, and flaxseed, I'd pick it, just because I get more out of it now than having that croissant. Just as you prefer to fast. I see you rolling your eyes. No one else can see that. She's rolling her eyes at me. But she was just looking up. Yeah. No. She just said that at night you choose the fast.
Well, I know, but I'm saying that I have a goal in mind to hit. If you're just one of our worker men, and you come in and you eat worker women, and you come in and eat your beef steak and potatoes, and want to work out and do all that kind of stuff, and you feel great every day, are you going to want to avoid that one day?
No, I don't. That's why I don't know. I think honestly mine is going to go back to electronics. That's where, and mostly I find it with kids or adults that, I'm sorry, I'm kicking you, that find that choose that over their kids. Like, man, that drives me crazy when I see someone just their nose in a phone, and a teenager or preteen is just wanting their attention. I'm like, you're about to lose them. Just put down your phone.
I do have teenagers so much, but
oh gosh, I will tell you that I spoke with the Justice Department, and they told me about young people nowadays, and we're talking about probably all these people fasting are millennials, right? Because it's Silicon Valley. So I'm going to guess that they're
I'd probably
millennials.
Guess
yeah.
Maybe a little.
That's probably a good thing for a lot of them.
If you're an executive, you're probably over 30.
Yeah, but the executives are the ones making the decisions that the others. It's like China, all my people are going to do this. So, but anyway, what I'm saying is they were telling me that most of the horrible abuse from a teenager to a parent or to a grandparent is because they get their telephone taken away. And it is much better to remove the charger, or to go to the telephone and call them and tell them to shut the phone off, rather than you taking that phone away because it enrages them so bad.
Ah, that's good. Well, you can just press some number or whatever and they'll cut off a line.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
But she said to do that rather than take a phone away because it enrages a teenager.
I think I'd just hand them back the old pay-as-you-go phone and say, here you go. And you can open it like this. And if you want to text, you have to hit it like 1 to 3 times for every letter. So maybe just bring them back to how we had to do it.
Pagers. I remember that.
Yeah.
We had codes for everything that meant.
Yeah, and then you can call them back on a payphone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 411 was
Where
information.
are payphones now? They don't have them.
Yeah, right.
So what about things that kind of help this dopamine get back on track, so to speak? Sleeping.
Well, there's a problem.
Okay, sleeping
love to sleep.
levels you out with dopamine. So, with regard to all this fasting.
Does that mean you don't sleep when you're fasting too?
No, they say that you should sleep 8 hours.
Okay.
So, if you are having a problem and you want to fast for like an hour or 2 a day on this stuff, how about just sleep another couple hours?
Oh, that's a good thought.
I already sleep 10 hours, but I like 12 hours on the weekend. So
take your fast when you sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It works. It works for food. Why wouldn't it work for?
That's how I do it.
Right.
Well, see, there's my problem because I only sleep 4 hours a night.
Mm.
Well, will you wake up if you have to fast from your electronics or your food?
I won't hear that little ding on my phone. Yeah.
No. My 11-year-old, she lost her phone and freaked out. Like, oh my gosh, I can't find it. And it just enraged me so bad that I took it away for the rest of the weekend. Like, I was like, I can't do that. You cannot live by that. That's
nuts.
What
we just went over.
So
we
you think
went over that panic.
The kids are addicted to their phones?
That's what they're saying.
By what you're describing, it sounds like it.
That was what that article that I was reading from that said you have a panic attack when you can't find your phone because you hit it 2,500 times a day.
Yep.
So
that's what my 14-year-old said. You take all my friends away before you take my phone away.
I would imagine when the governments, as they can anywhere, just about shut down the internet, how enraged these people might get.
Well, and once they take all the guns away, then they'll go for the phones.
We have to.
Yeah. What we're seeing around the world is that people without the phones, people without the guns, they just start burning things down
and hitting people with hammers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
So, it's strange that kids maybe have that reaction. Like a phone is something to be addicted to.
It's their connection to other people.
Tell me, how frustrated do you get when it takes that long for something to render when you're at work, or something to upload on the internet when you're looking up something?
Yeah, my frustration is not surface level. It's deeper than that.
Okay. I can see it.
Yeah.
A room over. But that's what I'm trying to say is already we get frustrated or impatient with technology and other things because that part is dopamine, that you can click of a button and so fast have things taken care of.
Yeah, but if it's for work, it's different than if it's for,
But our work counts as different because this is
TikTok.
Yeah, but this is different because my work, I don't know, reading and getting ready for the pods at night, it's not work. Other than me posting something on Facebook and hijacking invites.
Yeah, but we love this stuff. This is finding new
information. That's what I'm saying. It's not work. That's what you can't say work.
It's dopamine producing.
Because you are producing dopamine. Yeah, but you enjoy it.
There are parts that are enjoyable. The parts that are enjoyable is doing it well. I must be on a dopamine fast. You guys don't know.
Oh my goodness! Now, would you have to talk in one tone if you were on a dopamine fast?
I don't want to sound good because I might excite myself.
Heavy?
Yes.
It's very interesting.
Yep. So that means that you couldn't be in the room with your wife
you'd have
or your children.
You would have to,
have some
sort
people
of
could be in their room.
Let's go back to Illinois and put you in that room to seclude you.
I won't need dopamine to get out.
Yeah. What is rage? what hormone or what's producing that.
I don't. If you locked me in a confined space, it wouldn't be rage.
It'd be panic.
It's just
panic.
more of like a survival thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I'll do anything to get out of it.
Okay, I got it. I would fold laundry all day long. That would be my biggest dopamine deprived
But what if then,
fasting.
after a while, you got so excited about how well you were folding?
Nope, it wouldn't happen.
That you had that little
Nope.
spike.
Even when it's done.
And you had to start over.
Nope, it wouldn't. Now, if Matt listens and we ever try this dopamine fasting, let's leave that part out.
Okay, but
'Cause
we
we'll
have-
say I'd get a spike. So
yeah, the catitude.
Do you think maybe?
lady.
no.
Do you think maybe it's more of the fact that we only use certain things to give us good feelings anymore? So maybe we don't recognize and appreciate things the way we used to.
Now, the children, absolutely. That's what I mean. I watched a show the other day and a man brought home a pair of shoes and gave it to this kid. And he was so excited. And he's like, I can't believe you did that. Those probably cost so much. And he's like, don't worry about it, son. This is what I want to do to you. And I looked over to Matt and I said, if I went and picked up those shoes, whatever dream shoes, brought them home, they would say, oh, well, I wanted this color, or why didn't you get that? And that just irks me so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Well,
why I did that about the Christmas.
Well,
on a
it's the
Unappreciated.
story. It's the old story about if you are walking, you would love to have a bicycle, and if you're riding a bicycle, you would love to have a car.
Sometimes if you're riding a bike and the seat ain't right, you'd rather walk.
Very
But
true.
then the people in the car would like to have a Jaguar, and the
You
people
know,
in Jaguar want a Corvette. And
Our
Maybe
jet.
maybe it comes down to more of what satisfies you. So if we're insatiable with ordinary things in life,
well, I
then
have
we
a,
have to keep escalating the excitement level until something actually reaches us.
well, I have attention deficit, so I get through
Right.
all those things much quicker
Okay, well,
than most
let me
people.
give you let me give you an example. Let's compare. You have pets.
Yes.
Okay.
You have a couple too.
Yeah, but we're talking about you right now.
You're in the spotlight.
He
No.
has 12, 14.
No, we don't have 12, 14 of anything.
How,
Well,
at what time
if you're
don't
counting
you have?
paws, it's a little different. But no, what I'm saying is this. Let's compare eating a bowl of ice cream of your choice or petting your animal, whichever one you choose.
Well, if I was eating a bowl of ice cream with my animals
No,
around.
no.
Okay.
I really want to dig into
Oh,
this.
see, you
because
just went from the walking to the bike to the
I thought
Jaguar.
about it quite a bit, and what I came out with it was, we don't appreciate the normal things as much, so we don't gain as much dopamine from the regular things, and we have to keep escalating it. So back to the comparison: petting your animal or a bowl of ice cream, which gives you more pleasure? You have to choose.
How big is the bowl of ice cream?
It's whatever you'd like.
Well, that does get over. If I can have my puppy all the time, I'm pretty good.
Okay, but you would choose if they were in front of you.
I would choose my puppy.
You would choose the ice cream.
Yeah, I would. Okay.
Okay, so now
It's
let's
true.
go from there.
Okay.
right? And I'm going to go next. We're going to go step up the ladder a little bit.
Okay.
You have your ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Your ice cream or your favorite television show?
Ice cream.
Okay, so now your ice cream or your favorite short vacation spot, I'll put it.
Well, seeing as I now know what a vacation is, I do like a vacation.
Vacation, yeah. They might have ice cream there.
Yeah.
So your choice would be
The vacation.
vacation. So vacation trumped your ice cream.
Yeah.
Okay, now what if I said you could go on vacation, but you had to work double before you went on vacation?
Well, you do have to work double.
Double the hours.
You do have to work double hours before you
double
go.
the hours.
Yeah.
You still would
Vacation.
go.
Yes.
Okay. So if I said you had to work double the hours or get this ice cream,
I would take the ice cream.
so you'd work double the hours to get the ice cream.
Yes, I would.
Okay. So maybe the problem isn't dopamine. Maybe the problem is how we choose to reward ourselves for the things we've done. So a pet, petting a pet, you think it's going to be there next time. Vacation, I might miss out. Ice cream, it's going to melt. It's just different ways to think about it, that we can use the dopamine to help motivate us. And because dopamine is a motivating factor, I believe. If you want a great meal and you don't have what you need to make that great meal, you're going to do something very undopamine to get your dopamine, right? You're going to have to go to the store. You're going to have to be around people you probably don't want to be around, go through a process you don't necessarily like. And then you get home and you make your meal, and you finally, after you make your meal, get to eat it and enjoy it. How much did that dopamine do for you? If you think backwards, it did a lot. So I think maybe we're programmed to use this dopamine. Is a hunter going to chase down an animal? Let's say, a tribal hunter. Would they chase down an animal if they didn't necessarily know the dopamine was going to be as good as it would be?
Yeah.
If
it was just a pointless, no.
So what, God did put hunting into men and women and animals. That desire
there's probably two different kind of huntings. Like one's out of necessity and the other one's out of like
reward.
Yeah, a reward of some sort.
Okay, so a deer hunter. Let's talk about a deer hunter.
I don't hunt deer, so I don't know.
No, but see, they do get a lot of pleasure by putting that deer in the freezer.
Well, that bragging rights. So that's going to be like a bodybuilder.
Well, I mean,
their shoulders.
You save a lot of money. You have to pay to process it, but you definitely save a lot of money in the meat. So I would be happy about that. More practical side.
Yeah, but that's just the same as you working out because you want a smaller waistline and broader shoulders, and they want their deer on the wall, deer head. So when their friends come over and they're like, "Yeah, I shot that buck," or
yeah, I think we try and simplify things too much sometimes too. If you're working out for multiple reasons.
Not all. I mean, it just depends what it is. They're hunting for multiple reasons. Gratification, right. To get away from their house, to
well, let's go back to
simply drink beer, as some do.
Right. Let's go back to what you were talking about. Yeah. Lori, in case you haven't read her bio, was on the road to Miss Olympia, and she had extreme workouts, extreme diet, and I am always interested in what can motivate somebody to eat frozen fish out of a ice box.
It was cooked. It just was then frozen.
So how did you get to that point of it motivating you to do the absolute hardest things in life?
Because I would get an instant gratification doing that versus eating a hamburger. I just would feel better, and I could see it physically. I could see the difference. And then also the long haul, the dream, the vision.
The vision.
Discipline produces results.
But does discipline produce dopamine?
I think it would, because having those trophies is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And maybe you enjoy the discipline. Maybe you gain dopamine from the discipline.
Because if I can follow a rule like that, it really is rewarding.
Would you feel bad if you couldn't complete your task that day?
Absolutely.
So see,
like I feel bad that
when
even
you got
after
hurt, when you tore your whatever it was you tore, and could not finish your task, how did you feel?
Depressed. It was awful.
Okay.
Because I still think about doing that sometime, but now I'm just in a different place as far as it would, bucket list versus, family and things like that. So it's just not as big of a priority or thing. But
how did you pull yourself out of your depression?
Kids.
And is depression the lack of dopamine?
I think it's definitely a precursor, in my opinion. I'm not basing this on any scientific information other than how I feel about my own body.
I absolutely, I would agree, because that's just, that is the opposite of it. No dopamine is going to essentially end up in depression.
After a while, you don't feel good. You get tired of it. You're like, this is really it.
And
Yeah.
that's what you told me about when you quit drinking.
Right.
Yeah.
And you were tired of feeling tired.
I think that's a
Yeah.
podcast in itself. That was, if you
Yeah.
want to share one day, that was
Yeah.
that's really
I think
interesting.
some of those things touch almost everybody. So,
Absolutely.
But you work out now,
Yeah.
very smart. You before, when you worked out, when you were doing the bodybuilding stuff, you worked out not as smart as what you work out now.
I wasn't injured then,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm injured now. It's actually 80% of bodybuilders have an injury. And that's why they got into the sport.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more along the lines of that I don't want to injure myself again. If I felt the same as I did when I was 32, 33, 34, 35, I could push it as hard as I wanted to, and I probably would.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that's the difference with me.
Okay.
You know, I think maybe I just don't want to damage my body any more than it already has been.
Okay.
Now, did you enjoy the pain of working out, like the soreness afterwards?
I wouldn't call it enjoyment, but you know, when you work out, you try and make progress, and a lot of times when you're bodybuilding or trying to gain muscle, you know, if you don't feel it, you don't
feel like you gained anything. Yeah,
right.
Essentially saying if you did the same type of workout regularly, but then you just tried something new and you felt a muscle you hadn't felt that was sore, then that was
Okay.
then that was something.
Right.
So the same way. But now, if I get that soreness, I'm not as enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, I mean, you think a person just
age?
starting working out will get a very similar feeling than a person that's very trained to make that happen after they've been conditioned, right? So a bodybuilder's trained to make those new growth pains, I'll call it, the result, through a process of training every single time. And it gets harder and harder and harder. So, but people that build muscle on a regular basis understand that that's actually progress. People that don't do it, it's their first time in the gym, their first time working out, and they get that terrible, which is quite frankly, the first time you go back to doing something after you haven't done it in a while is way worse than the time you do it every single day. So yeah, you're going to have a lot more pain, a lot more soreness, a lot more tiredness that first time. However, it's very similar to what
later,
a bodybuilder feels every single day.
Dopamine.
And I think maybe if people could understand that first hit is a good one, instead of that it's just a bad one, it turns them away, you know, and that's what most people, I think that's what keeps them out of exercise, is they don't want to go through that soreness, that pain. But if you just realize that, hey, you really haven't done much lately and you're going to hurt a little bit because you're doing it, but once you get through it, you'll be stronger and you'll want to push to feel that way again, so you know you're growing.
So do you love the strength? I mean, I know child number 3 of mine, it was inherently strong. Probably because you jumped on him all of your life.
We had fun.
Yeah. And but he, you know, he was in the playpen when I brought him home from the hospital, and little 2-year-old here was jumping on him as I brought home a newborn. So he continued that the rest of his life, and so this child number 3 remained to be inherently strong.
Jed, like 2 foot tall.
Yeah,
something?
He was 27 inches long at birth.
Okay, yeah, 2.5.
So he could defend himself.
What is that article about? The 10 best ways to increase dopamine levels naturally.
Okay.
Yeah, let's find out, because maybe that'll help some people that have a lower level for some reason. Maybe they could naturally aid themselves to gain.
Low levels of dopamine are linked to reduced motivation. So you're right. It would help them to motivate themselves to do this. Eat lots of protein.
Yep. Well, actually, that tyronazine or whatever it is
right.
The main one.
And eat less saturated fat. And they said because of that, saturated fats, butter, palm oil, coconut oil, may disrupt dopamine signaling.
And those are the fats you need for muscle building.
Right. And that's
That
with
could be why
testing with
some
rats.
people are grumpy in the gym.
Yeah.
They might be grumpy because people sit on the weight machines and just talk.
Oh, that could be it too. I know you're not talking about me. You haven't seen me in a gym in
I'm
10
talking,
years.
you have people that go in there for the social.
Oh, absolutely. I could, and that's why I've avoided.
And you'll
Gym.
have, Dr. Corvino has told us this time and again, but here is another article that says, known as the second brain, your gut has a large number of nerve cells that produce many neurotransmitters signaling the
So if I have a
molecules.
big belly, I'm smarter.
Well, that's what I'm going on.
It's the Odom belly.
Yeah, the Odom belly.
Yeah.
I was thinking if you're regular, you're happier.
What do you mean regular?
Like go to the bathroom regular?
Oh, if you have normal bowel movements?
Yes.
Well, it says certain strains of bacteria can reduce symptoms of anxiety and
agree with that?
I
depression.
would think you'd be happier. Yeah.
I
I don't know too many people that have irregular bowel movements that are happy about it.
Yeah.
Okay, it says here to eat velvet beans. And does anybody know what a velvet bean
I'm
is?
Googling
What is
it.
that? Velvet?
They have
What's that?
they have high levels of L-Dopa, the precursor to dopamine.
That's the Mexican dopamine.
Yes, L-Dopa.
Yes. Maybe it's Spanish.
Yes, Spanish. People, they have studied those people with Parkinson's disease and found that consuming 250 grams of cooked velvet beans raises the dopamine levels.
Love those velvet beans.
Yeah, we got to figure out what those are because Mama's going to buy
I
some.
can say my mom never made me velvet beans.
That's true.
But I know if she did, she probably would have put bacon in them.
Yes.
You can buy them on Amazon. I'm trying to find them, but they are. Except canned velvet beans or
well, now
Whole
if you can
Foods.
them, you know
Well,
what
just
Robert
look at the
says.
ingredients. You
Yeah.
know, usually they do add sugar. It's 2 for 2 on the cans I've checked lately. Had sugar added.
Okay, exercise often.
They're native to Africa and tropical Asia.
Improvements in mood can be seen as little as 10 minutes of aerobic activity can lead to higher levels of dopamine.
I will say I'm
Oh,
happier
dope.
when I go for my walks in the morning. And when I don't, I'm not. They actually have velvet beans in Florida.
And the an hour of yoga increases your level of dopamine for a week.
Really?
Or
I'm still
Spanish yoga, L yoga.
L-yoga would do that, yes. And then, of course, the one that I do not do is get enough sleep.
Yeah, see, you could eliminate your fasting if you just sleep more.
But how do you make your eyes stay closed? I mean, I can't, it just doesn't happen. 40 years of sleeping 4 hours a night, I'm just kind of trained.
Okay. It also
that's
says
a
it
tough one.
increases testosterone in men ages 25 to 40.
Oh man, just missed that one, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Barely out.
Okay, here is another way to increase your dopamine is to listen to music.
Oh, the old 540 hertz.
That is 9% increase.
No, that's a noise.
Yeah.
That's just a noise.
That's about what it sounds like.
You know that podcast you did on tones and
Well,
stuff?
we just
Did
brought
any
it
of them
up in
say?
tones.
Did anyone say that increased dopamine? Do you
No,
remember?
it increased rage.
Yeah,
I would almost
from
threw him out of his bar stool.
I don't think any person. Well, I think if you play them yourself, you might be able to. But if anybody else hears it that is not playing it, they don't want to hear it.
Mm-mm.
And that's
You definitely
I
have
think
to read
that's
the
like
captions.
Counter dopamine.
I've never
Counter.
heard that said before, but in meditate is number 7 on the list.
Mm-hmm.
And get enough sunlight.
Yeah.
That's a straight from Dr.
Strange.
Corvino.
Strange, you said?
Yeah, strange that these are like lining up with Dr. Corvino's
Yeah.
base methods.
Bottom line, it says in this article and on the 10 best ways to increase dopamine levels naturally is dopamine is an important brain chemical that influences your mood.
Okay, Lori. So as an integrative health provider,
Mm-hmm.
if you had a client or a member that came to you that had maybe they may think they have a dopamine problem, would you ever suggest a dopamine fast?
If they're saying they have a dopamine problem,
Well, maybe
or if they just come in depressed, maybe.
they think they do,
Or they're
okay,
addicted
or
to
they-
gambling,
or
they're
you
food
derive
addiction.
out of your coaching sessions. You derive, hey, this person might need to go on a dopamine fast or an L-Dopa fast.
Well, those are two different questions. L-Dopa. Yeah, you just asked, would I ever come to, if I found someone kind of down in their dumps, would I think or would I suggest a dopamine fast? And then also you said whenever I derive to that they should have a dopamine fast. So which one?
Yeah.
What
Either one.
question?
Either one.
No, I would not recommend a dopamine fast.
Ooh.
Now, if they asked
with
me,
Lori,
or
you get to keep your ice cream, folks.
yes,
There you go.
Now, I like the idea of thinking about your actions, and obviously, the trainer and me, I'm going to promote like a balanced diet and lifestyle change, or doing things that are positive for you and your environment, is a long way to increase the body's natural production of dopamine.
Can you keep your vacation under treatment?
Absolutely.
Wow. These are big points for the old Lori's
Yes.
integrative medicine coaching.
Absolutely. And you can find me Wellnessway USA.
This is she uses Duke philosophy.
Well, let me ask you something. If this is such a big thing that has started there in Silicon Valley,
No. This is a widespread reporting of something that happened. I don't know how big it is.
Okay. So it is, but the people that work in Silicon Valley are they seem like they're very regimented because
Are you typecasting?
yeah,
people?
I am
Oh.
absolutely
Oh, no.
typecasting. And I'm saying that they work in a computer with headphones on and they've got walls up around them, or if you happen to work at Google, you're able to go sit in a beanbag chair in the middle of the room, but they're secluded and they're with their computer or one. So how do you
What if their computer provides them with dopamine or the dopamine mechanism?
Does this mean that they can't work then?
What if they enjoy their work?
That's what I'm saying. Does
Yeah,
this
see,
mean
I
they can't
enjoy-
work?
Yeah.
work.
Well,
So if
actually,
you just-
a lot of these, do say that the people actually have to take off work.
Okay.
See, because I will say that, next to my family, Matt and the kids, it's work. Like I'd rather be here. Well, you know that.
Mhm. Well, my husband worked 20 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I would if my husband would let me.
Mm-hmm.
But he'd be dropping my stuff off at the door out there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And in his, I guess he got his dopamine rush from helping people.
Yeah, I don't know if he was dopamine driven. To be honest with you, I don't
Yeah.
know, because I rarely. He did not enjoy the same things that most ordinary people
No,
did.
and he was a completely different type of person than most people
Yeah,
are.
so I think everybody's different. I really think trying to typecast people is probably not a good way
yeah,
to
he
be.
was more Howard Hughes, So
She's doing exactly
don't-
what you said.
I don't know exactly if I would define him as that. Maybe we could explore that another day.
Maybe
Okay.
the
But
hair later.
Howard Hughes.
Well, both
definitely
were
by
genius,
accomplishments. Yeah,
genius
mind power
of their
Okay.
field and mind power
yeah.
and photographic memories and all that.
A lot of similarities.
A lot of similarities. And then so Howard Hughes liked to stay by himself and be just right in one place and not bothered by external sources.
Oh, that sounds like me.
I see some similarities there
You
as
have
well.
too many cats to
Oh,
paws. Well, you have too many paws to say that.
please don't judge the cats until you know the full story. Thank you.
Okay, you're a rescuer. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. It's like I said earlier. What about just going outside and looking at nature and observing how great what we have in nature is, and letting that be your dopamine leveler to where it takes you to that place where you're like, maybe this is how we should learn to appreciate things.
Well, and that's your great grandmother
Right.
and your grandfather, and
Right.
all of them were farmers and loved it when they got to grow something and had their hands in the dirt
Right.
and get stung by the ants and all
Yeah.
that kind of
Well, I
stuff.
think any activities that you enjoy outside or even inside, but you take away electronics for that time, I think you actually enjoy it more, and it will, spark other parts of your
Yeah,
brain.
you watch your kids
produces
playing or helping
dopamine,
them
yep.
do activities.
Because I
you
love
know.
when I lose my phone. I'm like, yes, I lost my
Right.
phone.
I think a lot of us would be okay with kind of.
Well, so do you think if this is related to China taking away the video games and electronics?
I think maybe it's hard to say why China does those things, but I think maybe in my intuition, I'd say that's more of a control thing, getting them used to control than it would be for the benefit.
Well, they've got that, and they got TikTok. Complete opposite.
We have TikTok as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, TikTok, what I've seen of it is just basically another one of the social apps.
It's happy bubblegum music,
So,
yes.
Is TikTok good? Yeah. Do kids need a distraction from, our world at times? Yeah, I'd probably say so. They need to get away from this reality because it's not a lot of fun.
Yeah, with the ball outside.
Yeah.
So I think differently about it.
Yeah,
or
but I'm not saying that TikTok is good or bad. I'm saying that sometimes you get addicted to those things
And that's
that provide
Gen
that
Z.
dopamine.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe TikTok provides more dopamine for them than a ball would.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's whenever it's
So
a
what would you
parent's
do?
responsibility to find something else.
But
Well,
it's just like what we went through with the ice cream
If
scenario.
it's music, then give them an instrument. It
They
doesn't have to be a ball.
They have the same internal struggle with choice. I have phone, which makes me so excited that I'm about to explode.
And then that's
literally,
where it's their
quite literally explode.
parents' responsibility.
Or I can go out and kick a ball.
That's when parents.
To us, that sounds pretty cool. But to them, it sounds like
And back to parents.
death. Yeah, but
have the same answer.
Yeah,
But
but
if you don't-
is it more difficult to parent now that you have these entertainment devices?
No, you can
on
use it as
steroids,
leverage.
right?
No, you
Yeah,
use
of
it as
course,
leverage.
Of course, you try. You
You
try to
do, because if as the adult, you do. You took Eli's phone
Yeah,
away.
you do.
yeah.
And you were able to
You just do
control
it, and
him.
it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just do it, and it works.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you try, and some of us are more successful than others. I think maybe it depends a lot on the kids. Maybe it depends a lot on the history. Maybe it depends a lot on the
So
parents of those children.
Parenting
The genes.
parenting you was more. I was more accustomed to the trail of how to parent you. Boy, parenting a millennial or a
It's not the
Yeah,
same.
Gen
but
Z.
also right
It's not
now
the
you
same.
should be
Oh.
able to spoil them and play grandparent. So
You
it's
should
two
be their
totally
El
different
Dopa.
things.
Yes,
So it's two different. I mean, me, they're not supposed to like me, and I'm not supposed to spoil them, my children.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to spoil their children. So then,
Right.
yeah. So do you see? It's yours
Right.
is a little different of a struggle now.
Yeah.
So and then yours are older. So
Yeah,
you
but
can't
see,
really,
I could beat Jeb.
Yeah.
Mhm.
when he got bad.
It was there was a fear there at times
Mm-hmm.
that could happen.
Mm-hmm. Until he had his growth spurt.
Mhm.
Oh well, not that it would matter. If your mom's gonna beat you, you're just gonna take it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
Go out and cut your switch, son.
Switch. The trees are gone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't know. I'm thinking that first day with the arm on
Mhm.
Landon,
Mhm.
maybe he gave it to me, but I don't know. He was struggling at first.
Well, I think
I
obviously
think I'll lose that one.
when we have a split parent situation, it increases the challenges, tenfold, maybe more. When you have something like mom deals with her
Mhm.
with the grandkids, it probably increases it even more.
Oh yeah,
the challenges.
absolutely.
So, we like to just say, it should be simpler for you to do that, but the reality is it's not.
It's not in
know.
your situation. That's a total different level.
Well, the children have, they've got that call 911 in case something happens to you.
And we should just, when they call 911, just go with them. They're here to get you. You know? But that goes back to the article of the locking kids in at school.
Yeah, we've come full circle here.
Yeah, interesting how that works. So knowing that, the worst of the worst behavior you've ever seen out of a child, would you lock them in a room all day?
No. I know we want to, and I know you want to say yes because you have 2 teenage boys there, but
you don't have to answer the question if you don't want to.
The pull-up ice cream.
I'm just going to say
right now.
They choose to put themselves in their own room.
That's true.
When
At
they're
that
in
age,
trouble.
they do. Yeah, that's probably would be the most reward for my teenagers is to let them stay in their room all day and lock themselves. Instead, I'm like, get out of there. Come on. We're going to play with toddlers.
As parents, let's take it from a different angle. As parents, are we going to try and monitor the L-Dopa? Or are we going to just leave it alone?
That's the question. I mean,
or is that kind of, are we getting like to micromanaging land that will never really happen in the true universe of managing kids?
I know. And listen, as much different as this generation is, we've got my youngest one, Lily, my youngest granddaughter, is that Gen Z.
Yeah, we're running out of letters.
Well, they're going to Gen Alpha next. Alpha is the next one. I guess you get more letters. So Alpha is the next one. All the babies being born now, they're Gen Alpha. But I think they're all coming with different challenges.
Well, I think, kids are unique, so I would say yes. But it seems like a generational thing by what they've been influenced by.
Yeah.
When you talk
the dopamine controlling, my goal every day is to enhance or increase everyone's dopamine around me, including my children. And no, I don't think it's from, giving them everything they want, but teaching them how to, back to creativity and using their imagination, but how to produce it and doing things for other people to give them dopamine and more, happiness. Positive. Yeah. Good, natural.
Well, and I think that's what makes a grandmother so wonderful is that all she wants to do is give out dopamine, and she doesn't have any of the negative stuff. And
no,
so
you can give all the candy and all
the
that
dopamine in herself, and she's just
when they're dopamine high on sugar, you send them back home.
She's a grandma fairy, just twinkle toes because she's happy.
L-Dopa sprinkles.
Yes, L-Dopa sprinkles.
Oh man. So
dopamine queen.
Let's decide as parents. One more thing. Let's do a hypothetical for those who haven't had kids yet.
Ooh.
What would you do? How would you do it different?
Well, you can't say do it different if they don't have kids.
Yes, I can. I can say how would you do it different as a parent if you started over today?
Well, there's a TV show. There's a new TV show about this family of 8 or so, and they're all blonde-headed, and they've lived out in the farm all their life. They've never seen television. They don't know anything about anything.
Be a good thing.
Would you choose to do that?
Yes.
But then you're also, I think, handicapping them in so many ways. I'll tell you, this weekend, the kids went to a friend of mine, and I gave her the iPads, and I said, you can give them to them if you want. I said, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you give them the iPad, you're going to lose them, because my kids they just sat through their first movie the weekend before. We took all the kids to go see that Playing with Fire. Mm-hmm. And Lincoln was still walking up and down the halls, and Macy had to go to the bathroom 20 times, but we don't give them that much TV or iPads or video games or anything for that long period. So I said, if you give it to them, you're going to lose them, because they'll just get hypnotized by it because they never get it. Mm-hmm. So I think just limiting those things are good, but I wouldn't want to take it away completely. Now Disney, Macy can probably name 2 Disney movies, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. My friends say I'm depriving her.
It's good.
Okay. See, and that's it. She knows Cinderella. Bad. Okay. Frozen 2 is coming out, and she's invited to a birthday party, and they said, hey, can she come? And I'm like, she's never even seen Frozen 1. And so this weekend we're gonna have to watch Frozen 1.
Baby needs to come see May May.
I know. See, that's what as a mom,
She needs
I
an
want to
L-Dopa
limit it.
provider.
But yet they all have TV. They all have TVs
She
in
needs
their
an
room.
L-Dopa dealer.
L-Dopa dealer. Oh, the Dopa Queen.
That's the grandma. Grandma is the L-Dopa dealer.
Now they do have TVs in their rooms, but honestly, I've taken the batteries out and not one person's complained. They don't even pick it up to try it. Like no one even knows that their remotes don't work.
And now, Mom,
How
you
bad is
had
that?
3 boys with the same genes, yet 3 different people.
Completely 3 different.
You had some that could exist without games or TV.
Absolutely.
And
Never
you had
watched
some
it.
that probably couldn't.
And I have one that only read 1 book his entire school life.
That was probably me.
And
It was my L-Dopa problem.
Yes, and I think I can remember the book. What was it?
Indian in the Cupboard.
Correct.
It only took me about 4 weeks to read it.
And is it like 27 pages?
Yeah.
With
I
pictures?
think I waited for the movie to come out before I actually finished reading it.
But he was able to go through school and still only read 1 book. But then we had one that had those choose your own adventure books, and he had every one that came out, read all of them, was addicted to television, and all the grandparents of ours would say, "You're just using that TV as a babysitter." For him. And I did, because he was unruly without it.
Poor guy makes way too much money now, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
I
On
was about to say,
TV.
is it Jay?
He's terrible.
He's on TV.
I think maybe that was the way to go.
Yeah.
No.
Well, he
I
read all
couldn't
those
sit and
books.
watch TV that much.
No,
Like, if
you-
it was sunny outside, I was out.
2
Yeah.
and 3 were outside,
Yeah.
and he was getting the number 3 hurt all the time because he was trying to push him to do stuff way ahead of time. Taught him to
Yeah.
ride a bicycle at 2.
Well,
Mm.
when your brother wants to go with you,
Yeah.
it's hard
Yeah.
to carry
Hey.
2 on one bike.
So,
So,
got to keep up.
Yeah. So they had a much more physical outdoor experience. And would you change that?
it's tougher now.
It is.
We don't have the same ability to move around as freely as we used to as kids.
Yeah, because I can remember one of the most biggest criticisms I had was when you were 3, I let you go on the roof. I didn't see a problem with it at that time. But as a grandparent, now I would probably put in jail because
Yeah, but you
neglect.
figure even if I had fallen, I probably wouldn't have gotten hurt.
probably
It's
not.
high enough.
would have
I
bounced.
didn't weigh enough.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered.
Mhm.
But I don't think you could have contained me.
No.
So I don't know. Okay, let's go to cell phones. Let's be specific,
Okay.
since we do recognize these biggest challenges sometimes is managing these phones for our kids.
Mhm.
Would you give the phones to the kids at the same age or later than you have or would?
I didn't have a choice. Y'all got yours in. I mean, you went to college with a beeper.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about now.
4 and 5.
How you would manage kids now with the technology.
Well, see, I use it.
If you were able to start over, because I know once you open the box,
Yeah.
once you go down that hole. But so let's say that you have a child that's 12 and wants a phone.
Well, I can tell you what brother number 1 did. Said
Okay.
no,
Okay,
don't get no phone.
you don't get a phone. His kids, no phone.
No phone.
And my kids,
Mm.
all phone all the time.
Because
Phones.
you had a
Well-
grandma L-Dopa.
Well, and, we had a split family.
Mhm.
I had a divorce. So
Mhm.
Communication.
whether we'd like to admit it or not, that does affect how we parent.
It does. It does.
And what I would say, from what I know now, especially the very serious things that I know now about what's out there, I would probably say no phones until 18.
Well, and let's go
No
over.
phones, no cars, no
but
dating.
see the
and
tracking.
that sounds really tragic, but
See the tracking part. I want to get Lincoln a phone at 6 just for the tracking purposes and the texting. I mean, I want I mean, you can set
Communication.
restrictions on those
But
things.
maybe we do it different and we get phones
I mean,
that
Life 360 is amazing.
don't have, video screens on them.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can
flipper.
still limit. Well, you can limit it. I mean, because I love the tracking system. I mean, yesterday on my phone, I got an alert and it said that my son had went a mile and the top speed was 11 miles an hour. And I was like, he should be in school. And I freaked out and I went and looked at it, and it was the track around Pace High School. He was running the track and it showed how many times he went around. So then he's like, yeah, I ran a mile today. And I was like,
wasn't bothered
yes.
by the phone in his pocket, huh?
I guess not. And I was like, yeah, I know. And you did it in 7 minutes, because I could check the whole thing. But no, I love the tracking part. And I think you can restrict it. Like Lincoln's iPad doesn't have YouTube on it because I hate YouTube. I mean, because
You can check us out on YouTube.
well, no, I mean, for my 4-year-old, she's like, everything's YouTube.
Oh yeah,
I'm
that's
yeah. I'm like, where did you learn that?
Yeah,
YouTube.
absolutely.
So I
That's
changed
until
hers.
she goes to TikTok.
Well, I changed hers to YouTube Kids, so now
Okay.
she can just do
That's
YouTube
good.
Kids. And now
Yeah.
Lincoln's 6, and he cannot do YouTube at all.
Yeah, I think
And-
as technology progresses, they're better at controlling filtering, which we didn't have. It was unfiltered.
Well,
for
even
most of
my older ones, they're not allowed TikTok, Snapchat. Landon has Instagram, but he's cleared it all out just for sports purposes, and I have access to all of them. Musically was an issue at one point, but now they don't have any social, no Facebook. I said, as long as you live in this
So
house.
when you take their phone, do they have the dopamine problem with the phone? Do they freak out?
No, I mean, it's just like, really? I mean, but not a big deal. The other day I was telling Landon if he didn't get a C up, he was going to lose basketball. And he's like, I'll give you my phone and all my friends, but before basketball. So he was ready to give up friends. So, and then, and his phone. So he ended up, that's what our agreement is.
Well, I totally.
So mom, phone, or friends, which one would you give up?
I'd give up my phone in a heartbeat.
But if you gave up your phone, you'd kind of be giving up your friends. I see all your little quad text messages.
Oh
you
yeah,
get.
I got some tight friends, but I can find a
Your
way.
group text, yeah. No, they can, and it's and I think that's healthy. That's good. Every once in a while, take them away.
I mean,
Maybe.
I'm only this far away from that little big button
Do
phone.
you think maybe dopamine fasting might be a good excuse for people? I'm sorry, I can't call you back. I'm
Yeah.
dopamine fasting.
But you wouldn't. That little
Yeah.
progressive message would just be on your phone.
You can create a custom message. You know that, right?
Mhm. No, I don't, but I'm sure y'all do.
So you could say, I can't talk right now. I'm dopamine fasting.
I will tell you, whenever little Aubrey was living with us, my nephew, I took his phone away one time and I saw he had Facebook on there when we had agreement that he couldn't.
Ooh.
And he's like, well, my mama said I can. And I was like, well, you live here. And I went into his Facebook and I said, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm going to take a Facebook pass until I'm responsible enough to use it. And then I changed his password so it was locked on there, so it's still floating around.
Well, they
He was
don't
so
want
mad.
Facebook now, honey. It's either Snapchat that we can't see what they send.
Yeah. How many Snapchat names do they have?
Right.
Handles.
Mm-hmm. So they are wily little creatures. But there was a learning curve on the phones. I guess your oldest was the first generation of that, having a phone since they were young.
Probably, yeah. Probably one of
and-
the few, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so she went through some terrible learning curves about what evils lie within the telephone world.
Yeah, you can find you can find evil anywhere, especially on that device.
Mhm.
You can
Well,
find a lot
internet.
of good. You can find a lot of
And they
information.
targeted her.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
They target people. So back to my reality
Mhm.
is, if I had the choice, then it would be very simple. And I didn't let my daughter drive till she was 18 for a lot of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But having the split family, split custody, some of those things were kind of decided before, or before
You didn't have control of that.
we had, and so you kind of got to roll with it.
Mhm.
And it's tough because you see all those challenges they wouldn't have had if they had not have gotten the phone, at 8, or whatever it was.
I wonder if those children that were in that room in Illinois, in the little solidarity room, if they were given a phone, would they be okay?
Oh, I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
They probably had phones, and that's why they got the information out.
Oh, true that. That's true. But I mean,
would you be upset if some school official took a phone from your child, especially if they had to search them for that reason, to lock them in a room so they couldn't contact you?
Being locked in the room part is my problem, but the phones, I mean, I'm not
If
one of
you're
those.
gonna lock my child in a room, you're gonna call me first.
Oh yeah, that definitely.
Yeah.
But the whole phone thing at school, I'm okay with them not allowing them. I know some people, they say no, they have a phone, so they want them to be able to use them because of the shootings and different things like that. But honestly, I mean, my kids are texting me all day long. I'm like, aren't you in biology? Aren't you in English? And I'm like, you better, I'm pulling up your grades.
They're texting you, they're texting other people.
Yeah,
no
absolutely. That's why I think they shouldn't have phones at school.
There's no way they can concentrate at school with the phone. There's no way.
You made me think of something. I'm probably going to take their phones away now when they go to school.
Oh no! Don't let them hear this.
That was Mr. Jeb's idea.
And
we'll gave me the idea.
And Mimi will go buy little trackers you can put in their socks.
Oh, I like that. Well, I want to know more about the chips, like how you can put them in your dogs and stuff. If you can chip a kid.
I don't think I'd do that.
Yeah, that's another podcast.
That's a different boundary.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Well, then what about your dogs? I mean, what do people...
Okay, I'll just say this. I bought trackers for 4 and 5's cars, and number 2 over here took them away from me and didn't give them to me.
I know he gave one to me. To hide in a backpack liner.
Mm-hmm.
That was Mr.
Sometimes
Jeb.
you guys
Mr.
give
Jeb.
away too much information.
On the
You
air.
realize I can edit these, right?
Go for it.
I
might need you to.
Not every situation's simple, and sometimes we see things that other people can't. So sometimes putting a tracker on something might not give you the exact result you expect.
And I'm sure you chose to do that for me, and I appreciate it. And but sometimes you get desperate as a parent, on how to handle a situation. And there's just not one book that covers everything except the Bible. And they didn't have cell phones.
No, they did not.
Or trackers. There was only the North Star.
Yeah, it was a different time back then, but they had a lot of other things to deal with that we don't. So,
like running water.
Civilization's a lot better now.
Right.
Yes.
Animals weren't eating you as you traveled through the deserts.
Or very large people.
And you didn't turn to salt if you turned around and looked back.
Yeah, these are all things that kids can not have to worry about too much, but they should actually learn about it. But that's a different topic for a different day. Anything else you guys would like to add on the dopamine fasting topic?
I just think that it is unusual that we started with a story that was completely not attached to what we were talking about.
That's what we do.
And then it went
That's what
full
we do here
circle.
On Wellnessway USA. You can check us out, wellnesswayusa.com. We have what we like to call hybrid healthcare. Very affordable. Check us out. Anything else?
And it is self-care. We're teaching self-care.
That's what we're doing. We're teaching you
Yes.
things, but we're not teaching you like you're dummies. We're teaching you like you can find information too. We're just going to talk to you about the practical a lot of times, because really that's the tough one. Is you read it and you're like, okay, how do I formulate an opinion on this? So we're gonna all of us are gonna dive in, and we're gonna participate in this conversation,
and we come back at it from different angles.
Right.
Yeah,
So that's
pulling out the good or the truth in it, because a lot of people.
What we do is we add the humanity into it, and we go, okay, now what? So
The PG version.
Right. And it's our take as different individuals coming together,
Different age groups.
to try and provide the best information for individuals and groups as possible. That's our goal.
And to stimulate you to go find it yourself.
I doubt that many
And
people
dopamine.
would sit and print out, 400 pages on dopamine fasting,
No,
or
that's the
even read
grandma.
it. So sometimes it's easier to take back. So we go back to the part that I didn't read when I was younger. Maybe a lot of people don't like to read, so we'll help them
Mhm.
digest this information easier this way.
Hey,
And-
maybe that dopamine does boost, just like him not reading all those years, and now he's like
He's a
overloading.
readaholic.
Yeah,
Mhm.
maybe that is it. I might try dopamine fast. No, I won't. That was worth it. I won't do it. Instead, I'd like
Have
to
you ever
see-
tried to watch a television show while you listen to a podcast in the other ear?
No.
Try it. It's challenging. But I think there might be some benefit, like you gain some strength with your mind.
Now, I will tell you, I have watched a show and played a game on my phone the whole time. And then at the end of the show, I can tell you what happened and then watch the show without my phone. And then at the end of it, still be like, wow, that was a total different show.
Yeah.
But I still ends with the same result. But the path to getting there, the road, totally different than what I remembered the night before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I try now not to,
So feel free to email us your topics. If you're members, you can text us through the app, or you can hit our Wellnessway email. You can find that on wellnesswayusa.com, info@wellnesswayusa.com. You can email us and give us some suggestions. We feel free. We will dive into it because we enjoy digging into this stuff if we haven't already. If we have, we'll provide you a link to our podcast or information we have on that. So if you guys don't have anything else to add, we'll wrap it up.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us for another Wellness Way podcast. I am Jeb Odom, and God bless.